Aloha, everyone. We've just started this webinar tonight. This is the tools for the ʻāina protector. So we are going to get started. This evening's webinar is our 7th webinar, and the other 6 that we did last year are available on our website. We're going to be putting the link to that up in a Google Doc that will be posted in the chat. When we scheduled this webinar, we were not aware that a public hearing on an affordable housing bill was going to be scheduled at the same time tonight. We encourage people to sign up to testify in favor of that bill. It's likely that the public hearing will be going on after this webinar as well. If you can just let the council know that you would like their policy to be to require 75% affordable housing instead of 50, that would be sufficient. And we are also going to be posting that link to testify in that Google Doc. I would like to thank the county administration for their help with tonight's presentation. And we have Marcy Martin from the Real Property Office, and we have Johan Lal from the Planning Department. Both of them will present portions of the webinar tonight, and I will attempt to present the third portion, about which I'm still learning, the permitting section. These are the experts, and I'm glad they're here. If you have questions during the presentations, please post them in the Q&A tab at the bottom of the webinar screen. And if you see other questions on the Q&A that you would like answered, please give them an upvote and we will answer the most popular questions first. Please feel free to take notes, but know that after we learn all of the tips and tricks from these county experts, we will be finalizing a document with instructions and posting it to our website next to this video. So here to give you an introduction to the county's online tools is County Managing Director Sandy Baz. Sandy?
Aloha, ahi ahi kako. Sandy Baz, I'm the Managing Director for the County of Maui, and we appreciate Maui Tomorrow and the Foundation for presenting this webinar and having an opportunity for people to get to know the online services of the county better. If you start off by going to our website, mauicounty.gov, there's a link on there to online services, and that's the key place for most of the connections to these services, as well as many other. We do have quite a bit of our county information online, and we want to make sure that our residents and those interested know where to get access to it and how to utilize it. And so this webinar is going to be a great feature for that. We appreciate the opportunity to provide this to you. Marcy Martin from our Real Property Assessment Division and Johan Leo from our Planning Department are experts in this. I use these online services myself on a regular basis, especially the property tax website. At least once a week or maybe more, I'm on there gathering information. It's been updated recently, and she'll go over those updates with you and what information you can access. The land permit information is going to be actually being upgraded at the moment. We are about 3 or so years into a project, moving it over from its current system, which is about 25 years old, to a new system, which is called the Maui Automated Planning and Permitting System, short for MAPS. And so if you ever hear the acronym MAPS, that's what that's for. We look forward to going live with that before the end of the year. And then there's another feature, which you're going to talk about the request for services tonight. There's another feature that you have on your, you can get on your phone at the Google Play Store or Apple App Store called COM Connect. That's County of Maui, COM Connect. And that allows you to, it's put out by a company called See Click Fix. So you see a problem, you click a picture of it, and upload it, and then we can work on fixing it. So those are different tools that we have available. And Albert, as we move forward in this and you'd like us back again, we'd be happy to be able to present more information to you. Again, thank you for participating in this. Thank you for learning. We really appreciate when the residents have the information available, especially online services. It makes it quick access, easier for us to provide this information to you than having to call back. And that kind of stuff. So we really appreciate the opportunity. So hope you learn it all. And, you know, again, if it's recorded, so you can go over it over and over again. And you're always welcome to call our office as well if you need assistance with any of these tools. Thank you, Albert.
Okay, mahalo, Sandy. That's great. Marcy Martin is the real property tax administrator, and she is going to be showing us, this is the first step that I use when I want to find out where a property is, what's around the property, who the neighboring owners are, things like that. There's so much to this site, and she's going to show us the basics. There's a lot more to know, but our goal tonight is to help you to figure out what's going on if you see something and you're not sure that it's permitted. This is how you can find out, going through the steps that will be in the webinar tonight. So, Marcy, I thought, unless you have another property picked out, but I thought that the Hester property that you were talking about would be a good one. There's a lot going on there, and I think people will find that very interesting.
Okay. Well, thank you, Albert and Maui Tomorrow, for having me here. We're very proud at Real Property that we share all of our data and resources. It's a really important part of the transparent tax system. So thank you for giving us this opportunity. So I'm going to start with sharing my screen. Okay. So this is the division's data website. Our formal website is on the County of Maui site. We have a page there, but this actually links you to our property data. And when you get to this first page, it's an informational page. It has a link to making payments, but you can search for records. And we also have all of our forms because we have a new long-term rental exemption that we want people who have 1 year long-term rentals to apply. So that's on the forms tab. But tonight we're going to search for a record. So we're going to hit search. Now we do a search by owner name. You can search by address or search by parcel number. You can even search by map. I'm bringing up the map and then zooming into a location. But tonight we're gonna just start by searching by name. When you search by name, you're gonna put in last name. Don't put in spaces, ʻāinas, and sometimes less letters are better when you're searching. So in this case, we're going to search for the Hester property. I know the owner's last name. So I'm going to type in, and you can see the search results coming up. Sometimes you know already. That's why I'm saying don't rush to type in the whole thing. And you see here, there's no spaces between first and last name. Searching it, it has to be a match. So I'm going to click on Hester. And this owner owns 2 properties. So I'm going to select the property that I want to look for. And this gives you our data for our website and what's in our property tax system. Right here, parcel number is also referred to as TMK or tax map key. A lot of times when you're searching on sites, you'll enter, you'll see it referred to as parcel ID or parcel identifier. Old school people, TMK. The address, the land area, owner names, and the mailing addresses that we have on site. You can do mailers from our site. We have the ability to pull up names and addresses for searches. Our assessment information is the classification, the value, and the year. This classification tells you a lot about the property. This means non-owner occupied, means the owner does not live there. This is your taxes. I tell you if someone's paid. Right here is going to tell you if they filed a protest or an appeal for their value. The improvement descriptions, outbuildings, sales. And this permit information is the permits that the real property assessment division has picked up. It's not a comprehensive list of permits. It's just permits that real property looks at. So it's a good place to look for permits, but it's not all permits on a property. We have our building sketch information. And we have search features here. This is, you can generate the mailing label list. If you wanted to send a letter to everyone in your neighborhood, do that. Do we have any questions?
I just wanted to point something out, Marcy.
Okay.
In addition to the TMK, many of these tax records under legal information, it shows, for this one, it says something about Land Court Award 5524. So there's some additional information I can't read. I don't know what RPGR means, but there is additional information here that you can use to look up information on other sites. In particular, I'm going to point out later the Kipuka database that has a lot of information pertaining to Hawaiian issues. So
yeah, and let me go further here. Now, we have our old field books also online, and that's at the same area what Sandy Boz is talking about, online services. And that will also show your grants, your awards. And then something really exciting is we have been scanning all of our old map folders, and those will be made available to the public very soon. And then that database will grow as we finish the scanning project. So a lot of times when people are looking up awards or historical information, those maps will be very really good source of information for them and really fun to add.
thank you. Thank you. The other thing is, I don't know if you were intending to show how to do a map search.
Yes, okay, that's next.
Okay.
So this is our data. We have what's called a map view. So when you click on the map view, you're going to enter our GIS world. So this is going to bring up the parcel. As I pan over it, you can see it on the right side highlighted. And we have all sorts of layers available on here. Some of the layers are real property layers, and some of the layers are from the state clearinghouse, and they're layers that we think would be useful. We're displaying the zoning here, flood, our state land use, tsunami, roads. This pending parcel changes is if maybe something's been recently subdivided, or you can see what it looked like before or what it will look like next year. Because when we display our information, we display our information for 1 year. But of course, things change every day. So the changes that we make, we publish using this. Our map changes, we publish using this pending parcel change. We have an aerial imagery, and this is a mosaic of our aerial imagery. So all of our pictures stitched together. It is a very good picture, but it doesn't have the clarity of our online imagery. So, but if you want to look at a neighborhood or an area, this maybe is the view you want to look at. Just a disclaimer, these parcels are very well aligned with the land imagery below it. However, the world is round and our maps were flat, so we are now pulling all of our parcels and we're anchoring it to GPS monuments. So in some areas, like in ʻāina, the lines may not match the picture underneath it exactly. We are working on that every day, but it is a process of globally positioning our parcel layers to the aerial imagery. But in this view, you can, we talked about, you can click on the neighbors. And now for this parcel to get, and if you want to look at the layers, you probably want to hand back, just go fast. We do special management area. This is in the SMA. No surprise. So if you want to see better imagery, you can click on this Pictometry link here. So it's going to take you off the map now, and now you're just going to see the one parcel. So when you're on Pictometry, this little dot here is your oblique or your from above. And your date of your imagery is in the upper toolbar. So this is very recent imagery from August 4th, 2020. What the parcel looks like today. We have some layers that you can put over the imagery. If you want to know parcels next to it, click on the county layer. If you wanted to go back in time to historical imagery, you can pull down this. You can see in March 13th, 2017, the seawall collapsed here. If you click on these arrows, this parcel will spin around, and these are your orthogonal views, or views from the side. So these images are taken by a plane that flies over several times, and then the images are stitched together. This shows the waves came and washed away this wall. And if you just keep clicking these arrows, you can see the property from different angles. And if you notice, the date is changing because planes are flying over on different dates, but you can really kind of get a good idea of what's happening. And then you could even go back in time and see what it looked like before the wall fell down. So we have quite a library here of imagery. So originally, this is what the original house looked like back in 2008. The imagery from 2008 is not as good a quality. Every time we get a flyover, the technology has improved. So this early access is when the plane flies over, but the imagery hasn't been stitched together, and our vendor has been very gracious and allowed us to provide this to the public at no expense. So we're very grateful for that, because we do feel that our website is the preeminent source of property data for the county. So very interesting. Now, once you're in this Pictometry, you can measure do all those things. You're gonna have to go back to the aerial imagery. Sometimes when you're using something, you might want to take measurements. So you can draw see how long a boundary is there. So it's 108 feet. And I measured the building in acres. I'm not sure that's, but we can change it from acres. There we go, to square feet. Great. But if you were checking to see if something was permitted, you might measure it. And then if the area measured didn't match the area that we have on our data page, then it would be an indication that there might be additions on the property that aren't permitted. Do you have any questions?
I had a related question, because when we were talking recently, I said how it would be nice to be able to have, for example, the community plan layer on the left side of this. And Johan is going to show us some other layers that are in the planning department's GIS viewer. But eventually, I was just hoping that it'd be really nice. It'd be nice if all of these systems could be integrated somehow, and that may be in the works. I'm not sure.
I think, we just have to, basically we'd make a ticket. First, we would inquire with planning to see if we could put the community plan layers on here. And then we just ask our vendor, can we have this link on here? So, community plan is I don't think anyone's ever asked before. Yeah.
We're very interested in the community plan as a public interest group. And it looks like Aram posted something in the chat to answer Carlos's question. Links and notes are being consolidated, and then he put together a link to a Google Doc, and there'll also be a transcript of this webinar in that link.
So do I have time to show you our short-term rental report? Or?
Let's answer these other questions
Okay.
first. Sarah Tekula asks, please explain what an SMA is and how and why a property is designated as such. So do you want to take that, Marcy, or shall I?
I can take it as far as this is a special management area, and we got the layer from the state. And now I will let Albert.
Okay. Yeah, a special management area is the county has the responsibility of implementing the Coastal Zone Management Act in the special management area. So the coastal zone is the entire state, but there's special focus in the special management area, which is typically near the shoreline up to the nearest highway, sometimes beyond. And they give extra special review to projects to make sure that they don't impact our nearshore environment. That's my short answer.
There's often extra requirements when you're in an SMA, when you get permits.
Right.
Different planning process, but you can see here. Here's a good example where Kahana Ridge isn't in an SMA, but the houses in front of it and the developments in front of it are. They're on the ocean side of the highway as opposed to the mountain side of the highway.
Yeah. Okay. And then the second part of that question is, how is a property designated as such? That is I'm a little unclear on that myself. I think it is the responsibility of the Planning Commission, but I'm going to have to check on that. So obviously I don't know everything either. It could be the council, but I think it's the Planning Commission that designates the special management area. Note to self. I should know that because I used to work for the State Coastal Zone Management Office as well as the County Planning Department.
It feels like it follows the tsunami evacuation, but I don't know.
Right, it varies depending on the area. So our next question is, are the zoning districts color coded and how do you find out what the color signifies?
Okay, that's a really good question. So now I've just clicked on the left side, the zoning layer. So we see we have, I'm going to turn off special management. And you see yellow and you see the stripes, red, orange. So up on the left side, you see layer list and then you see legend. You're going to click legend. And you're going to see this bright yellow is R3. And your red candy cane is HM. This is the timeshares over here. This bright orange is A2. Black Rock is hotel. And then the mall is business resort here. So you got to look at the legend.
And Marcy, if you are unsure about a color, because these colors on the map are not surrounded by white like the colors in the legend are, is there a way that you can click and find out what the zoning is or mouse over it or something?
Not that I know of, but when in doubt, you can go over to the Cuba site too to double check. I know.
Okay. That's the permitting site, and we will get to that later in this
Yeah.
webinar.
I know some people don't see colors the same as others. So I understand.
Yeah, okay.
If I turn off the aerial imagery though, it definitely looks brighter.
Yes, that makes it much better, much
Yeah.
easier, because the aerial, especially color imagery, can change how the zoning colors appear.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And
we have
also
one
with the state layer, you need to be panned out because some layers are drawn, shapes are larger so that it works better the further out you are, where like the pictometry works better the closer you are.
Okay, that's helpful. We have one last question. Where will the historical maps be available in the near future?
The historical maps will be available in the same area that our field books will be available. It'll be a link and you will search. It'll be the same search function as searching for plans. And so when you go to Kiva, Albert, remember we, from the website, you went to that one page. The link will be on that page. But hopefully we'll do a press release too. When we,
Yes, and we'll help get the word out. So
yeah, because I think people are going to be really interested in that.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Marcy. I hope you'll stay on through my presentation on Kiva because I might need your help.
Okay.
All right, so thank you very much, Marcy Martin. We are going to move on now to Johan, and is it Lal or Lael? How do you say your last name?
Wow, Johan Lau.
Okay, so Johan is going to show us the Planning Department's GIS map viewer. Take it away.
All right, so I'm gonna screen share. So let's see. Cool. So this is the land use viewer that we basically released last October. And so I'm in the long range division of the county planning department. And let's see. So initially this viewer was created to show the Maui Island plan data, which
I'm sorry, Johan, I hate to interrupt, but can we go a little more slowly so that people can watch you click on the various links to access this from the initial mauicounty.gov site?
yes, actually let me start at, hold on. Google. Oh, it's not gonna. Okay, so actually the easiest way to find this is to search for Maui County land use viewer on Google, and you'll find a few links. Like one is on Maui Now, and there's one here on the county website. But so I'm gonna go to this one, and oops, that's actually the wrong link. So this is actually useful to see too. Don't go to that one. Just go to Maui Now. And actually this is the press release. So on this news article from October. Click that link to get to our planning department page.
So this is mauicounty.gov/121
Yes, slash
planning-department.
And we have a list of hot topics. And included in here is a lot of different data you might be interested in. Like there's online access for shoreline, or online atlas for shoreline access, and shape files of zoning data, and the SMA stuff that was being asked about previously. And so there's all kinds of data on here, but I'm just going to show the land use viewer. And it's outside the website because it's hosted by Esri, which is the company that makes GIS software. So this is the splash screen, and so it's got basically a disclaimer that says, you know, the data on here can change, and a lot of it is kind of draft, and it's going to be reviewed and it'll be changed, you know, as we go along, as we need to adjust to things like new parcel data and things like that. So if like a TMK boundary changes by a couple feet, the data on here will eventually be adjusted also. And then I'm the contact if you need any data from this viewer. So yeah, this my email, and then we've got a few other links on here. So we've got a link to that QPublic that Marcy was showing, and your zoning your zoning confirmation website, where if you need, you know, actual confirmation about what your zoning is, or the zoning for some property, you can go here and you can get like definitive information, because this is more for visualization and, you know, viewing. So the legend may not be that viewable or that visible through screen share, but first let me show the MIP data, which is the Maui Island Plan from 2012. And so this is basically things like growth boundaries, which are meant to limit where growth happens and try to, you know, prevent sprawl and things like that. So this was all, you know, passed by the council and everything. So we've got a few different colors that show where your rural growth boundary is, which is like rural neighborhoods, and then small town. So you can see upcountry, there's some small town areas like in Makawao and a little bit in Kula. And, you know, we've got small urban. So some other areas are designated as urban, which you might expect. And we've also got protected areas, green belts, greenways, parks preservation, and I guess these are pretty self-explanatory. A green belt is kind of a wild, like a natural area that is kind of meant to separate neighborhoods or developments and provide some green space. A greenway is more like a path, like a walking path, you know, with trees and stuff like that. And then parks preservation is more like nature preserves. So some examples would be like Keolia Pond would be a preservation, along with the gulch that flows into it. Parks would be like beach parks. One difference between this viewer and the one that Marcy showed is this one does not have imagery. It's meant to be more clear and kind of easy to see what the shapes are. But so it's just this kind of light gray with the roads. But we may in the future add that same pictometry imagery, but that hasn't been decided yet. But so on the viewer though, one thing is you can hide this legend. If you already know what the colors mean and everything, you can hit X and it's gone, or you can show it with that little icon at the top right. And you can also change the layers that you're showing. So if I want to see only growth areas, oh, I forgot to cover the growth areas. Those are areas that are designated for growth. So they're within the boundaries, but they're areas where there is supposed to be future growth. And actually, some of these are actually agricultural preserves. So they're not really growth areas. I just learned that today. So these will actually be, these three in particular will be split out to a separate thing from the growth areas. So I just wanted to point that out because I know that there's probably folks watching who are like, wait a minute, they're gonna develop these farmlands. No, it's really our agricultural preserve.
Can I make a comment before you move on?
Sure.
So those growth areas, my understanding and what I've heard from the planning department as well, is that these are limits to growth, but that the next layer that comes through is the community plan. And so the community plan decides where within these growth areas or how much of these growth areas is actually going to be developable. So the community plan doesn't have to designate everything within the Maui Island Plan growth area for growth yet. So that's
I would say, so I'm pretty new to planning, so there are probably folks here who know a lot better than me. I've only been in this field a year, so I'm the GIS guy. But my understanding is generally that the community plan is more about the character of development, and what kind of character you want to preserve and things like that. And then within that you have things like you would designate an area as a kind of a development that would be like a neighborhood center, that kind of thing, and then within that you could have different kinds of things built that would be consistent with that kind of general character. And then you would also have things like open space that you would use to prevent development. But yeah, basically the community plan happens within these. But I don't believe it's restricted to the Maui Island plan. Like things can change from this in the community plan.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm just stating what my understanding is during the West Maui community plan process. And the updates are not complete even in West Maui. So we will see what happens there. But the relationship of the Maui Island plan growth areas to the community plan is what I was focusing on in my comment. And I'm sorry to divert you from your task here.
No problem. So let's see. There's some other kind of general stuff on here, like you know, if you are wondering about those community plan areas, you can display this really basic layer. So you can see this is West Maui. You know, this is the South Maui area. And then we also display the community plan designations. And as you kind of hinted at, Albert, a lot of these are, I guess all of these are kind of really draft at the moment. So these are on here kind of as a guide, and the symbology, like the colors used, are really more general. So and the reason for that is we don't want to have this viewer be too confusing with, you know, if you had every color on here, it would become hard to distinguish between individual ones, and you'd be trying to see the difference between two shades of like fuchsia, for example. So if you display these, you have the colors, but you also have labels. So you can see all of this is conservation. You know, you can zoom in a little bit more, and you can see these community plan designations, like the single family, multifamily, light industrial, and then so these will change for the South Maui area, because we are currently working on the South Maui community plan process. So this kind of is what it is now. And let's see, the community plan, unlike the Maui Island plan, is all of the islands in the county. So you can view that data for Lanai and Molokai also. So just to give you an idea of what this is like. You can also click on these. If you're having trouble reading, for example, like I'm looking at this and I can't read that green on purple that well. So you click that and see that's project district. This might be small. Zooming is not a good idea. But let me zoom over to Molokai. So you can see we've got kind of a lot of data on here. Like, you know, we've got some of the state land use delineated in that community plan. And the next one I'm going to show is zoning. And the zoning is just like the community plan data. It's really very basic symbology. So you saw when Marcy showed the Q Public, there was all kinds of like bright colors and stripes and things like that. And those are kind of official ways that we display the zoning data. Unfortunately, on this viewer and this current Esri system, it's newer than that QPublic, but it no longer lets you have even stripes. So we are kind of limited in what we can show. So the way that I chose to do it is to just have these really basic colors that are kind of grouped in a way that makes sense. Like you can see business is generally this kind of purple, or I mean this pink. You know, historic stuff, and then some of these special areas are purple. Open space, parks, things like that are green. Industrial is this kind of bright purple. Hotels are orange. But you can also, if you click on something, you can see a text description. And I may add labels to this one as well in the future, but it's a bit harder to read with the zoning, but we'll see about that. Another thing I should point out is whatever you have on this layer display. So like you can have zoning, or you can have zoning and community plan, or you can have you can have all these layers displayed at once, and it's just confusing to view. But when you click and it gives you that pop-up, it'll say at the top of this, 1 of 3. So it's showing that there are other things that you can view in the same spot where you clicked. So right now it's that light industrial, which is a zone class. So it's showing that zoning. And then you use this little triangle. It's supposed to be an arrow, but it's just a triangle for the next feature. So you'll see that's urban growth boundary. And then it also shows you the parcels that this is based on. So this is the latest parcels that Real Property released. The boundaries of this will match those parcels. So if you're looking at older parcels, they won't line up, and so on. And then the next thing on here is this light industrial community plan. Turn most of these off. So let me turn that growth boundaries on again. So you can also view parcels on here. And you can search by a TMK. So Albert, do you happen to have the TMK for that Hester house you're looking at?
Let me look. I'll pull it up here in just a second.
I think I might still, oh no.
Here it is. 4301 5003.
So you type in here and it will show the results as soon as you type. So you could even do a part of it, and then you get to choose ones that
Now,
match.
Johan, when you type in that 4301, it comes up with a 2 in front of it. So that is designating the island, right? That's Maui
Yes.
Island.
Right.
That's
Yep.
something that's been a source of confusion. So people should just be aware that like the real property database, I believe they use 8 digits without the 2 in front. And then on the permitting system that we're going to talk about in a second here, it uses the 9th digit. So for Maui Island, that would be a 2, and it would be in front of the 8 digits.
Yeah, it always confuses me when I look at these, or when I see them in the official kind of display method, where you put the dashes or the spaces in. So yeah, and then on the actual TMK, we've got both with the to and without in the actual data. So no matter which you enter, it'll work. And then, so this is the one, and then this is in the way. So it also, the TMK is when you zoom into a certain level. Actually, I should show this first. If you're zoomed out, they won't display because it slows down the map a lot when you have all these thousands of TMKs. So let me search for that again. So when you're looking at these, either from the search or just from clicking, you can hit this Q public link, and that'll open the same thing that Marcy was showing. And you can hit your view map, and you have the real property, really nice TMK viewer. So ours is more general, and theirs is more specific. So
Okay.
it's also,
We've got about 5 minutes left for this segment. I think what you said to me a couple of days ago was that the layers that are checked are going to be the ones that come up in the info box when you click on it.
Right.
Right. So if I'm interested in figuring out what's going on this property and what's permitted, I need to know what the community plan is for that. I need to know what the zoning is for that. I need to know what the state land use district is and whether or not it's in the SMA. So can we show an example of doing that?
sure. The one exception would be the state land use. The only thing that we have is state land use conservation.
Oh, I see.
So all of the state land use is not on this viewer, but the zoning, you turn that on, and then you can turn on the community plan. So the Maui Island, and the reason these are split out is because the designations are actually different they are different for Maui Island plan. Or from Maui Island, the community plan is different for Maui Island versus Lanai, Molokai, and the South Maui. But
Okay.
so make sure you choose the one that matches. If you're in Kihei, you would use the other one. So I got those turned on, and let me turn on growth areas just for fun. So click that, and then shows your TMK again. And then you can hit the arrows, and you can see that's Maui, and it's the single family designation. Hit the arrow again, and that shows you the zone class, R3 or residential. So if you do a search, it'll only show that TMK. So if you want the other data, you still need to click, because it's all geographic based, these queries. So the zoning and the community plan and the MIP are not linked in any way to the TMKs besides spatially. So you have to click. And then these don't match up in most cases because it's these all have to be adjusted manually to match TMKs. So they're all built with different sets of parcels, and so it's always an ongoing process to update these. So if you see a sliver like that, it doesn't mean that there's some kind of gap there or anything like that.
This is very useful, very helpful. And I'll just mention that the real property map does have the SMA, and it does have the state land use district. So for now, if we're interested in accessing those layers, we can get them through what Marcy showed us on the real property website.
Yep.
Okay.
And the zoning, as you can see, is much more detailed. So yeah, that's where you should go if you want the zoning or, you know, this kind of stuff. But I would say the land use viewer is kind of a good, like broad, you know, a visualization tool, and then it also gives you the links to be able to drill down. And then, do we still have a couple of minutes left, or?
We have 2 or 3 questions as well, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'll just show a couple things. There's a measuring tool on here. It's not as easy to use as the one that Marcy showed, but you know, you click that and then you click whether you want area, length, or degrees. You can get the latitude, longitude. You can click and it'll show on here. And you can measure, then you double click and then you'll get some acres. And you can close that. Another thing is if you need coordinates, so let's say I want the coordinate for this little square here. I have no idea what that is, but I click this little thing and then I hit this add point and click, and it'll show the coordinates, and then it'll give you the coordinates in a few different formats. So this is the decimal degrees, or it's like 20 point whatever degrees north and then the
Latitude and
west.
longitude, right? So 20.77, et cetera, degrees north latitude and 156.4 west latitude.
Yes, that's right. And it's not XY like most things. It's north. It's YX basically. It's your north and south. So be aware of that. And then you get the, if you're talking to like a nautical type person, they might like the degrees, minutes, seconds, or, you know, we've got all these different ones that if you know what they are, then you're probably the one who uses them. And then the last thing is you can share. So this actually, you hit share, it'll give you this link, and then you can copy paste that into an email or whatever, or you can embed into a website. Just be aware if you embed in your website, this may change and it may no longer work. So there's no guarantees. You can, if you hit this link options, you can get you can have the link include the current extent. So I'm looking at this part of Kihei. I click that, and then the link is going to zoom. Whoever clicks it is going to go to this exact same area. And then you've got a few options where you can click. Oh, you need to hit that, and then it'll give you this option to define the center that way. So if you need an exact spot rather than just what it's showing here, you can use that tool. And so you can play around with this, and like nothing will ever break on our end or anything like that. So feel free to mess around. You can also add a marker, by the way. So if I want to point someone to a particular parcel, or like a spot, a beach that I want to send them to, that I want to meet and, you know, have a small gathering within the legal limits, you can say, click that and then do that. And when you go back to this, let's make sure this works. Disclaimer, and then, yeah, there's that point.
That's fantastic. So since the links might break, is there a way to export this into a PDF that you could then attach to an email?
Not really. You can export a screenshot.
Okay,
And really the only reason I say that links might break is because there are always, you know, bugs with the Esri system, and it goes down sometimes. But the intent is not to have things break. So really, if you do have it embedded in your website, or if you're using these layers, you can actually use these layers if you have your own web maps. And the way that we decided to do it is to have folks email me, and then I'll send the link and some explanations and that kind of stuff. And then if you do that, and something stops working, which actually did happen yesterday, and I have to go in and fix the layers. If that happens, let me know as soon as possible. So.
okay. And every time that you get into this site, there's a disclaimer that has your email address on it. So that's very convenient. I'm going to go ahead and address some of these questions, then we need to move on to the next section.
Sure.
A question that we got was, how do we find out about developments in our neighborhoods that seem to be getting larger? I think that the answer to that is going to be coming up in the next section, unless you can think of an answer from your perspective.
Not anything specific, except you know, I guess you can always use the email links on like the planning department website, or you can always inquire at like Real Property, I guess. I mean, if you email someone at the county, they'll probably tell you who to ask. So, and they might be able to help you with what the specific question is that you need to ask and things like that.
Alrighty, very
I know
good.
there's also like the request for service, so that might be also a way to.
We'll talk about that a little bit. The next question, it seems like everything is urban, is that correct? Well, maybe when that question was asked, it was zoomed into an urban area, but no, not everything is urban.
Right. If you're in Kahului, yes, everything is urban. And urban doesn't mean really the literal definition. That would also include things that we would consider suburban, I guess, like, you know, these developments up here, and like a lot of Kie, and so urban, and then like this, for example, I think was a planned development at one point, and so urban can mean a wide range of things. We also have so there's urban, and then, oh, you can see, I forgot to mention this, you can expand these on the left, or you can use the legend on the right, whichever is easier.
Okay. Well, this
So,
has been
anyway.
you, Johan. We've got to move on. There's a lot more to know about this, but I think people will be able to get in here and play with it, and it's going to keep getting better from what I understand. So thank you. There's one more question I wanted to ask. Are the traditional boundaries of Moku and Ahupua'a available as data layers? I have seen an Ahupua'a data layer on the state GIS data portal. I don't know about the Moku though. Do you know?
They are all available. I don't have the links offhand. You can email me if you go to this viewer. I can't see who asked the question, but if you go to the viewer and you email me with the link at the splash screen, I can set you up with those. But they are available. You can download them, or you can view them, or you can stream them basically if you have your own web maps, or you can view them on the online system, or you can download from the state portal. Like if you Google Hawaii State GIS portal, you'll find a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things related to conservation and historical data and things like that. So.
Okay. Thank you, Johan. Excellent presentation. We're going to move on, and I'm going to attempt to present about the county's online land and permit information system, which is currently referred to as Kiva in the big building downtown in Wailuku. So I'm going to share my screen. So in order to access the online land and permit information system, you first go to mauicounty.gov. Put your mouse, the cursor, on services, and then you drop down on the right side. You can click on online land and permit information. And just as a reminder, we are going to write this all up. For those of you that are furiously taking notes, feel free, but we're going to be creating a document based on the tips and tricks that we are getting here from our experts, and we will be posting that next to the web video. So the next thing you do is you click on online land and permit information status. And this is going to a different site. So you click on proceed to site, and it brings up this sparse web page. Click on land information system. And then you have the opportunity to enter the TMK. So what is, of course, I didn't copy that. Johan, do you remember what the Hester TMK is?
I have it.
Okay.
You're gonna put in the 2 first for this site, and then it's gonna be 43015 003 0000.
Okay, so 4 zeros on the end. And with that, as I recall, the 4 zeros on the end are for the units if it is a condominium of one sort or another. So in this case, we have a lot of digits. We have the 2 for Maui Island. We have the 8 for the parcel number. Then we have the zeros for the CPR. This system requires that you put the zeros in. Is that right, Marcy?
I'm not sure, but I would put it in just because if you were searching for a CPR.
Okay. All right, let's see if this works. You click on search and it works. So this is the screen that Marcy showed you earlier. And I'm going to click on the TMK for that property in question. This is the one that the seawall fell down on. So it brings it up in this view, and it tells you a number of things, like it's in the special management area. The zoning is R3, it's in the state urban district, square footage, etc., property value, owner's name, address, etc. What we're interested in is all the way at the top. So you click on where it says permits and look at all these permits. So let's say that you see something happening on this property and you go and you check on this system and there are no permits, but clearly they're doing something that where they would need a permit. That's when we would be doing the next thing that I'm going to talk about, and that's calling in for a request for service. But let's just take a look at some of these. The status on a lot of these is done. The status on a couple of them is open. So I'm going to click on this one that says open. And this is what's going on. So it's a request for a shoreline setbacks variance to build a seawall, demolish the older plantation style existing house, and construct a new single family dwelling and a pool. It seems like that's already happened. So I'm not sure why. Is this just out of date, Marcy?
I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
But, you know, there's a lot of moving parts to this and a lot of users in the county. So probably someone in the Development Services Administration would be able to help us, but I wasn't able to get anyone from there. But let's move on. You can learn a lot of things about what's going on here. For this permit, it looks like they sent a request for comment to all of these different agencies. And you can see, if you click on them, you can see what the comments were, if they provided any. It doesn't look like the fire department provided any comments, but this is just an overview. I'm going to go back to our previous screen and down further. This probably says a lot of permits. There's an electrical permit that seems to be open still from 2012. I'm guessing that that is actually completed. Grading permit, which was the one with the turtle, Marcy?
That was in the request for service.
Oh, it was, okay, so that's the next section. But these are the permits, and you know, the basic message here is if you have any questions about any of these, you can call the Development Services Administration and ask them. But if you don't see any permits and there's a lot of stuff going on, that's not a good sign. So next I will talk about the request for service. So it looks like this parcel has had a lot of requests for service. What is a request for service? It's when somebody is concerned enough to call or contact the county and say, hey, what's going on? So is the turtle in here?
Yes, I think it was one of the recent ones. Maybe it was in the 20.
One of the open ones, right?
Or try the 2021. Ones that start with 20.
Oh, they both say done. Okay, well, let's try this one. Okay, so this was, someone was concerned because apparently the owner was putting up sandbags while they're doing the seawall, and someone offshore found a sea turtle that was entangled in a rogue sandbag in the bay believed to be from the seawall project. The contractor can't be certain that the bag came from their project, but they're willing to take responsibility. They've implemented special corrective measures to ensure that if this happens again, they can determine that the bags came from the particular project. Notice of warning will be issued. The sea turtle was rescued and is reported to be in good health, so that's good news. But we are really drilling down into the details of some of these permits, as well as some of the requests for service. Now, in the few minutes that we have left, I'm going to show you how to file a request for service. I believe that I go back up to the county, mauicounty.gov. Just correct me if I'm wrong here. Services, and here it is, request for service. So there's a disclaimer here, and this is something that I have a little concern with, because the county has an anonymous complaint policy where they will not research or investigate anonymous complaints. In other words, if you have a neighbor that's doing something, you think it's illegal and you want to report it to the county, your name is going to be available to the neighbor. I personally feel like this cuts down on the number of complaints, but that's a topic for another day. If you decide that you want to go ahead and file a request for service, you have to click on this policy and agree to the policy, and then just follow the steps. I've never submitted a request for service. So I've never been beyond this point, but that's how you would do it if in fact you have a concern. Any comments on that, Marcy?
No, you're just gonna put a description in the yeah.
Right, you just put, so you fill out your name and address, your email, and again, this becomes public information. What I did hear, interestingly enough, during one of the county council meetings was one of the representatives, council member Tamara Paulton said that she was willing, if people called her office, that she would submit the request for service in order to help maintain anonymity. That way, if people are concerned about any kind of retaliation for reporting things like that. So anyway, we've covered a lot today. And as I said, we're going to be summarizing and putting this all into a document, and it'll be available on our website. We'll announce it. Are there any other questions? I'm looking for questions in the chat. I don't see anything that we haven't attempted to answer. I hope that this has been helpful. I'd like to ask if there are any additional comments from any of our panelists. Marcy, do you want to add anything before we close for tonight?
No.
Okay. Johan, anything?
I guess, so my email address is on that splash screen. If there's any data that is not on there, it's not explicitly stated, but if there's any data that you think the planning department could provide, or if you need help with finding some other county data, I should say specifically GIS stuff, feel free to email me. Even though that's a public web map and that's a public link, I get very few emails from the public, so I get kind of lonely. So
You might be getting a lot more now. We do have some questions coming through right now. The Maui Tomorrow website is www.maui-tomorrow.org. And the link, we're posting a link in the chat to our previous webinars, and that'll be a way to access this one as well. We'll update that page. We had a question asking about short-term vacation rentals, and we do have a little bit of time left, Marcy, if you wanted to cover that. Do you feel like you're ready to do that?
Okay, so if you're looking for a map of permitted STRs, there really isn't one, but it might be a good idea. I might put that on a list of something that our GIS analysts could do and put on our website. And we do have our condominium STRs in a 3D map. I don't know if anyone wanted to see that.
I did.
Okay. So I'm gonna share my screen. So we're gonna go back to our to the condo use verification tool here. And you're gonna come up with directions and a link in our ordinance regarding our short-term rental classification. I think it's important because this 3D map operates like Google Street View, and it's good to know the ordinance too. But here's the link. So the green circles are condominium properties, and the red circles are hotel properties. The hotels are allowed to do short-term rental. The green properties may or may not be able to do short-term rental. You can access them by zooming in, or if you know the master TMK, you can look it up here. Once you find the property you're looking for, you click it. Gives you a little bit about the condo project. And here you can view the condominium map, which is, we got these from the Bureau of Conveyance. They just had a big scanning initiative, and we got those, and now we put them on our public website. There may be one of you go, but in this case, you're going to click 3D view. When you first zoom in, we're in that oblique view where you kind of see the roof. But you can use your, rotate. You want to report a unit. So the red units are units that are doing short-term rental. White units saying they aren't. We're on vacation. We're staying in this white unit right here, saying you're paid. They're not paying the correct tax. Building tab. Best to filter by floor. Now you can see your units better. And if you click on that, see here it says STR no. All you do is you click on report STR, and you have to type in an email or a phone number. But the real property tax office, we will listen to anonymous complaints and we will do our own research. It helps if you want us to respond back to you, but once you put in either your email, your phone number, and remarks, you hit report, it emails to a real property tax email, and then we do our own research. We will take your complaint, but we always do our own research. And this is exciting. This is our initial launch of our 3D maps. So we're really excited because we have almost 30,000 condominium parcels on Maui.
That is exciting, Marcy. I'd never seen that before. Thank you for showing that to us. I will be checking that out, and we will, we'll keep in touch with you folks as improvements are made. We're happy to help publicize them through our organization. Anyway, I hope that this has been helpful to all of our attendees, all of our ʻāina protectors. If you have any questions, you can contact us at info@maui-tomorrow.org. And we look forward to helping to protect the ʻāina with all of you. Mahalo nui.